Hello guys, it's Remus here, and if you're seeing this in 2174th, I wish you all a Merry Pippin New Easter. And in this video we are taking a look at removed items because 1000 years ago I made a video about cancelled champions, so this will be a video about all the cancelled, reworked or removed items in the game. There's also a new $1 billion RP giveaway. To enter, leave a like, comment and subscribe from 10 different accounts to don't have any chance to enter. And let's begin the video. First we have the alpha items, and those are a few of them that only were in the alpha version of the game and didn't make it to the general public, and if you're 12 years old you probably have no idea about those items, so let's begin and take a look at them. First we have the Ancient Pocket Watch. That was a basic item and it only gave you 5 movement speed boost, and it had a teleport ability included in it as an active. So that was before teleport was an actual summoner spell. It was incorporated in this item here. Next we have a very funny item, Bag of Tea, that was only usable after doing a kill and restored mana and health, so that was a really nice teabagging mechanic. Then there was the Blink Dagger, that was basically flash before flash, so we don't know the price or everything, but it teleported your champion to a target location once every 2 minutes, and any damage taken during the cast time will interrupt the cast. So if it's Blink, I don't think it was the same effect as the teleport from the Ancient Pocket Watch, so it probably was the flash included in this item. Or it could have been teleport, but I don't think so, so probably this was the flash because it's a blink, so it's a short distance teleport. It's not like a full teleport, so, but it has a cast time as well, so that was a pretty shitty flash. Then we have the Breath Stealer, and this is a very breathtaking item, and it costed quite a lot, and it gave you 95 ability power, 70 armor, and it has a unique passive that reduces abilities cooldown by 50%, and it also reduces the target's enemy champion ability power and attack damage by 70% for 4 seconds. Then there was the Gouging Blade that gave you attack speed, HP per 5 seconds, and the unique passive that changed on hit to apply a minor damage over time effect that deals 10 damage per second for 10 seconds, and during that time they couldn't regenerate their health, so this was a pretty nice mini ignite item. Then there's the old Hex Drinker that gave you attack damage, magic resist, and the unique passive that after taking magic damage you gain attack damage for 8 seconds. Didn't say how much, but could have been pretty nice. And bonus stacks up to 25 attack damage after taking 600 magic damage, so that's the maximum. It wasn't that much, but it would have been nice, and it was probably based on how much damage you received. Then there was the Light Slicer that gave quite a lot of attack speed, 45% attack speed, 12% critical chance, and the new passive that every third attack becomes guaranteed to hit and deal bonus magic damage. So imagine this would have been pretty damn nice on Vayne, for example, or something, but I don't know if that guaranteed hit means anything, like it hits through abilities that cancel auto attacks or other abilities. That would have been interesting. But remember that in the alpha there was a mechanic of miss, like in World of Warcraft, so you could miss attacks and have a dodge chance, so this was basically probably definitely infinitely to counter that probably, so you know. But it could have worked on other things as well. If it's a guaranteed hit, probably meant that nothing else would have been able to deny that attack. Then there is the Mana Battery that gave health, ability power, and the unique passive of 20% chance on attack for your next spellcast to gain plus 100 ability power. So this was pretty interesting, so it buffed one of your abilities, not all your abilities, so the next ability will have more damage because it had a 100 bonus ability power buff on it. So that sounded pretty cool, to be honest. Then there's the Marksman's Rifle that gave attack damage, critical chance, and a passive that 25% chance on attack to reveal the target to your team, preventing them from dodging. See again that dodging that I've talked about, and reduce armor by 20 for 4 seconds. Then there is the Mournblade that only had some lifesteal, and the passive that restored 50 health after killing a unit. This was a pretty amazing item in my opinion. Would have worked great on AD carries on or AD tops. Then there is the Opone's Razors that had lifesteal, attack speed, and the unique passive that 30% chance on hit to proc a debuff that increases the damage received by enemy champion attacks by 8 magic damage by 8 seconds, and this attack stacks to a maximum of 6. So it was pretty nice, good for attack speedy champions or for AD carries to increase the damage with each hit on the target. The Oracle's Hood that had critical chance, 500 mana, and the unique passive that your magic damage has a chance based on critical hit to deal 25% extra true damage. Next we have the Parasitic Recurve Bow that had lifesteal, attack speed, and a passive of 5% mana leech. So this is also interesting. So Mana Leech, from what I think, it's probably something like Lifesteal but for mana. So when you deal damage, you take mana. So it's like a mana steal. And would have been pretty interesting. There's no item in the game right now that has Mana Leech. The Pendant of Zephyris, that had an aura that nearby allies gain 25 armor and 30 magic resist. And Rejuvenation Potion was an early potion that restored health and mana over a few seconds, and this was in the alpha but was removed. Still, we got some potions now. And Razor's Pride, that gave you health, armor, and the unique passive that shields your champion, absorbing the next 250 damage and 80% of your ability power. So I don't know if that means that 250 damage and 80% of your ability power. Probably. Next there is the Renewal Tonic that had armor, health and restored some health once you're hit, but it didn't stack, so not too much, it's just 20 health over 5 seconds, so not such a big deal, and it didn't stack and it didn't increase probably, so not that amazing. Next there is the Runegorger that gave you attack damage, magic resist, lifesteal and the unique passive that after taking magic damage you gain attack damage and magic resistance for 8 seconds. And bonus stacks to 50 attack damage and 50 magic resistance after taking and rounded magic damage. This was a pretty complicated item. Savant's Stone. It had health regen and mana regen, and subjugate magic decreases damage received by area of effect abilities by 20%. So it probably just decreases the damage of AoEs. It would have been interesting in certain scenarios that you face a lot of AoE champions. And it was a prime passive, so I don't know what that is, but sounds nice. Next there is the Scroll of Teleportation, so apart from that blade, there was also this scroll that teleports the user to any friendly structure after channeling for 4 seconds. Next there is the Soul Crystal that gave you ability power, health and the unique passive that grants yourself a nearby friendly champion's AP and health. The Rose's Pride had quite a lot of ability power and armor, and the unique active that shields your champion, absorbing 200 damage and 150% of your ability power. So this was similar to a previous item that I've mentioned before, but it buffed you more, so maybe that one was the unupgraded version of this. But that's a pretty big shield, especially if you had a lot of AP. Imagine a Veigar with this item. Wizard's Regalia sounds like a weird item because it gave you 25 ability power, 54 armor, and the unique passive that also gave you 25 ability power and 60 armor. And another unique passive that once being hit by a spell or attack reduces spell cooldowns by 0.4 seconds and restores mana. This sounds nice, because it reduces the cooldowns of your abilities if you are being hit. Next there's the Redfire Bracelet that gave ability power, magic resist, and on spellcast you hit each nearby enemy for magic damage equal to 8% of their current health. And the last one of the alpha items is Yordle Stompers. That sounds like a fun item, but it also teleports your champion to the target location, so they had a lot of teleports, and this was an enchantment for boots, so a lot of teleports on items before they decided to do the summoner spells. And now let's quickly cover the rest of the items that many of them you probably know because they've been removed from Season 1 to Season 6, so the more recent ones you may know or may not know already. First there's the Arcane Sweeper that was available on Twisted Tree Line I think, and once you used it you revealed an area and everything that was inside it. Next we have Atma's Impaler that had a passive that gains attack damage equal to 1.5% of your maximum health. This was nice for tanks if they wanted damage as well. Avarice Blade was an item that gave critical chance and some gold. Blackfire Torch was a similar item to Deathfire Grass, but it was not available in Summoner's Rift. Then there was the Blue Pill that was pretty interesting, so this was before the recall was made, and it cost 600 health and teleports you back to the Team Fountain, so this was similar to the Dota items that teleport you somewhere, so you don't have recall there, so you use the Blue Pill, and this is probably from Matrix. They didn't have a Red Pill though. Then there is the Cloak and Dagger that gave you tenacity, attack speed, crit. Then if you remember, it was the Crystalline Flask, another version of the flasks. There were many of them, and like I mentioned, Deathfire Grasp as well got removed not too long ago I think, but it was a pretty damn amazing item that increased the damage on the target, and it also deals a lot of damage when you use it on the target based on their health. Dervish Blade was an item available on Twisted Tree Line that also got removed, and it gave you magic resist, attack speed, cooldown reduction, and the passive that was the passive of Quicksilver Stash. Devourer was one of the many jungle items that was removed. This one was pretty nice. You farmed certain monsters and increased it, and once you sated it, it turned into the sated Devourer and increased its power and its damage. Then there are the many boot enchantments that got removed, not too long ago as well. And we also have Elaisa's Miracle. That was a legendary item and it gave you health regen and mana regen, and a passive that reduced the cooldown of some summoner spells, and if you gain 3 levels with this item you gain all the effects permanently and the item is consumed. So this was pretty interesting. So if you had this and you gain 3 levels with it, you permanently gain that 10 health regen and 15 mana regen and probably the passive as well, so not too bad. Next, all the elixirs that got removed. There are many of them and there are some now as well, but quite a lot of them got removed as well. Then Emblem of Valor got reworked into a new item, but it is pretty similar and it only gave armor and health regen for nearby allies. Then there was an Explorer's Word that was available if you have a mastery for it, and that mastery gave you one in your inventory. Feral Flare was another jungle item that got removed like many of them, and this one was another upgrade from another one, and it gave you attack speed, attack damage, and you also placed a word with it among others, so a lot of jungle items got removed over time. Then this one is pretty interesting, Flesh Heater. So it gave attack damage, lifesteal, but the passive is interesting. So basic attacks build flesh charges, and at 5 charges you gain the ability to cast Flesh Heater. And if you do that, you rip the flesh from the target enemy minion and you deal quite a lot of damage, and it's true damage, so you basically one-shot that guy, and you also heal for quite a lot. So this was a pretty nice item, especially for bruisers or top laners to heal a bit, but it's only available to melee champions, so this could have been pretty damn OP on AD carries, especially if you go full attack speed, you could have it 100 AD in late game. But even on melee champions, imagine it on Mastery, you spam a lot of attacks and cast it a lot and increase that AD one by one. Then some of you may remember the Force of Nature that held health regen, magic resist and 8 increased movement speed, and you gain health regeneration equal to some of your maximum health, so this was a pretty nice item as well. Next, all the greater totems, the words and the greater orb and the stealth totems that not too long ago got removed as well. Then there's the Spectral Lantern that was available on Twisted Tree Line, and again it got removed, and it gave you attack speed, attack damage, and basic attacks against monsters deals more damage and heal. So this was the jungle item for Twisted Tree Line that got removed as well. What's with jungle items getting removed so fast? Then this is a very lovely item, Heart of Gold. Still remember it, and it only gave you health, but it gave you that nice passive of 5 gold per 10 seconds, and it also used to build into Randuin, so it was a pretty cool item. Then there is the Innervation Locket, that was a legendary item that gave you health, mana, and nearby allies had mana and health regen as well, plus some cooldown reduction. And when you use abilities you also regenerate, so this was pretty damn strong. Ionic Spark was pretty much a static shift that got removed in the past, but it also gave some health and 50% attack speed, and the unique passive is pretty similar to what we have now in the static shift. Next there is Kitai's Bloodrazor that had attacks damage, attack speed, and it dealt more damage as magic damage based on the target's health. Next there is the Leviathan that gave you only a little bit of health, but your champion gains 35 health per stack, receiving 2 stacks for a kill and 1 stack for an assist. And this was similar to Magi, so it stack up to 20, but if you die you lose some stacks, and at 20 stacks your champion takes 50% less damage, so this was a pretty strong item if you could stack it at max. Madred's Bloodrazor. This item gave you quite a lot of stuff, but the passive was that your basic attacks deals magic damage equal to 4% of the target's maximum health, and that was pretty damn strong. Next we have My Lady that gave ability power, attack speed, and your basic attacks deal bonus magic damage, and another passive that your basic attacks reduce the target's magic resistance, and it also stacks. So this was a pretty nice item for something like Kayle maybe. Next there is the Mana Manipulator that was 300 gold, and it had a passive that nearby allied champions have increased mana regen. Then there is the Mana Potion, and you probably remember this one, didn't get removed long ago, no explanation needed. Requiescat in Pace Mana Potion. Next there is the Mirage Blade that had a pretty nice passive, so you use an ability power or an attack to an enemy champion, you mark it, and then if you activate that, you blink away from the target. So this is pretty nice for pussy champions that you deal some damage, then you fuck off. Not bad. Some of you as well may remember the Oracle's Elixir that revealed things around you once you use it, like wards or stealth champions. Fuck, this shit was annoying for Akali. Overlord's Blood Mail was available on Twisted Tree Line, and it gave a lot of health and health regen. It also healed you on kills. Philosopher's Stone was an item stolen from Harry Potter, and it gave health regen, mana regen, and a unique passive that was Transmute, and that gave you gold per 10 seconds. And it was remade into Nomad's Medallion. Then there is Priscilla's Blessing, and Priscilla was also a cancelled champion that later got turned into Elise. And this item gave some health regen and a thing that increased your capture rate, so this was only for Dominion. So I think it increased the speed of which you are capturing things, and also gave you movement speed. Quill Coat was an item that healed you when you took damage, and you also had a word, so this was pretty nice for junglers, and it was only when you take damage from monsters, so it was nice for jungler champions. Regrowth Pendant, not much to say, health regen, and it was pretty cheap. Runic Bulwark was the upgraded version of Ages of the Legion, but it got removed because it was too big to carry for female support champions. Then there was the Sage's Ring that only gave 500 mana and it costed 975. So imagine this on Rise, pretty strong starting item. Sanguine Blade was almost the Bloodthirster in the Twisted Tree line, but it also got removed not too long ago. Soul Shroud gave you health and reduced the cooldowns of your nearby allies and gave them mana regeneration as well. Soul Cycle gave you attack damage, lifesteal and mana when you're doing basic attacks. Spellbreaker was an item that gave you attack damage, magic resist and crit, and gave you a shield once you drop below 30% health, and also tenacity. Then another set of removed jungle items, those are the spirit items. There was the Spirit of the Ancient Golem, Elder Lizard and Spectral Wraith. Sword of the Divine, I remember this item, it was pretty damn nice, gave you attack speed, and once you used it, it also increased that attack speed by a lot, but when it's off cooldown it doesn't give anything. Sword of the Occult was the AD version of Magi. It increased its damage by kills and you also lose them when you die, so you could get a total of 100 attack damage from this. Brutalizer was a lit AD item that used to build into Yomus. The Lightbringer is a pentakill song, but it was also this item that gave you attack damage, crit and critical strikes cause enemies to bleed for additional damage. And it also had a trap detection mechanic. Twin Shadows used to throw ghosts after enemy champions and also gave ability power, movement speed and cooldown reduction decrease. The pink word, of course, you must remember this one, it wasn't removed that long ago. Wheel of the Ancients as well got removed not too long ago when they decided to get rid of Spellvamp, not a good move in my opinion. Zephyr was also not that long ago removed, it gave you attack speed, attack damage, movement speed and cooldown reduction, and also reduced the duration of crowd control, so it gave tenacity. And the last one is Zonia's Ring of the Mind Dreamer. So this was a pretty fucking OP item in my opinion, and in everyone's opinion, and in Riot's opinion, because they removed it afterwards and they split it. So this was basically Zonia's plus Rabadon's in one, and after all they split it into Zonia's and Rabadon's, because look at this shit, it costed 3400 gold and it gave 120 AP, increased the AP by 25%, and it also gave you the status of Zonia. So if that wasn't OP, I don't know what was OP. So this was pretty damn strong, and they decided to split it into Zonia's and Rabadon's. And that's it for the removed items. If you manage to find other removed items under your desk, leave them in the comments, but I think those are all of them. And thanks for watching. This was a pretty longer video and I'm not drunk at all after New Year's Eve, but thanks for watching again. I will see you soon. Leave 10 likes, subscribe with 10 accounts, because this month was pretty damn horrible. Views dropped, but subs dropped like shit. I never made so few subscribers in a month, and a lot of unsubs from closed accounts. And because I'm a fucking bastard, then you unsub from me and I will find you and I will make you subscribe back. But yeah, thanks for watching. Happy new Merry Pippin year, and bye bye.